In the summer of 2004, my family was moving from Stillwater to Forest Lake, where my parents are now. I was going into first grade. And at the same time, Bishop DeGrood, then Father DeGrood, had just finished time as a formator in spiritual direction at SJV and was now becoming the pastor at my home parish, St. Peter's in Forest Lake. He served as the pastor there for 10 years and was there throughout most of my upbringing and conversion in the faith. He's a man that I look up to in many ways, but I want to highlight two ways in particular. The first is his spiritual leadership. It does not take very much time to recognize the prayerfulness of Bishop DeGrood. You can readily tell his love for the Lord and that he is a man who knows the Father. One thing I noticed about his time at our parish was how devoted he was to a life of prayer, but also that this life of prayer did not pull him away from his flock, but it rooted him in his care and leadership of us. In the discussion of leadership, I'm reminded of the mini-series Band of Brothers, which is based on the men of Easy Company in World War II. In one of the episodes, Sergeant Lipton is narrating the episode and makes reference to one of the other characters, a man named Lieutenant Dyke. And he says that Lieutenant Dyke wasn't a bad leader because he made bad decisions. He was a bad leader because he made no decisions. Bishop DeGrood has shown me this decisiveness that is so necessary to lead, in combination with his source of relationship with Christ. His prayerfulness is not an excuse for making no decisions, but rather it is the driving force for his decision making. An example that comes to mind in his own life is that he was the first bishop in the entire country after lockdown to reinstate the Sunday Mass obligation for those populations that were not at high risk. And he did this clearly and concisely, but also with a pastoral and gentle heart for his people. The second virtue that I want to point out in Bishop DeGrood is his imitation of Christ as the Good Shepherd. In John chapter 10, Jesus says, "I am the Good Shepherd. I know my Father. I know my own, and my own know me. As the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep." Bishop DeGrood outlines what Christ shows us as the Good Shepherd. Not someone who begrudgingly makes sacrifices because they know they should, but a man who has given his entire life in joy. He knows that love alone counts. And we can see this in his Episcopal motto from the first letter of John, that God is love. And I've been privileged to experience this love firsthand when he was our pastor, but also since then, as he's continued to walk with me in my seminary discernment. Bishop DeGrood is one of the biggest representations of fatherhood that I have personally experienced in my own life. And for this I say, praise be Jesus Christ.
Now